Welcome to Creekside Chats with successful multifamily real estate investors. Dr. Allen chats with successful investors exploring their journey from setback to triumph. Through this window, we glimpse the truths that inspire our guests to invest abundantly and flourish in all areas of life. And now your host, Dr. Allen.
Welcome to Creekside Chats with successful multifamily real estate investors, where we delve deep into the lives of our successful guests to learn the secrets of thriving to flourish abundantly in all areas of life. I'm your host, Dr. Allen. My guest today founded and oversees Wells Property Group and Wells Property Management. The companies are vertically integrated, offering construction management, renovation, leasing, property management, maintenance, asset management, and syndications. He currently manages a portfolio of 80 buildings valued over $300 million. He enjoys volunteering with his favorite charity, the Goodtimes Project, whose vision is to create caring spaces for families who have been affected by childhood cancer. Welcome back to the show, Preston Walls. Well, I wanted to pick up the conversation here where we left off. Actually, I don't think we were talking about this on air, but you and I were talking about it after we got off air. And that is the influence that your great aunt Gladys has had on you in your adult life.
Yes. Thank you for all the kind words and for having me back on your show. It's a pleasure to be back and to speak with you. The topic of mentoring is really important, and it's certainly played a foundational role in my life and getting started and getting going, and just how to think through what the vision for your life and your profession and your financial stability looks like. And I was fortunate to have parents that instill those values, and another family member, because it's often different or easier to have someone that's outside of your immediate family, that you don't have all of the kind of baggage that comes with day-to-day life. But my great aunt Gladys was really influential in shaping how to identify a long-term investment. Her investment choice was stocks and stock equity investments, but she was unique in that she invested kind of concentrated positions over a long period of time in entities that she knew and understood very well, and that consistently paid and increased their dividends. And so our Thanksgiving dinners, we'd just spend probably half an hour before sitting down at the table going through her investments, the companies that she liked, why she liked them, what was going well, and I would have a chance to pick her brain on what makes a good investment for a very long term time horizon. And she was really pivotal, my foundation on thinking through long term ownership.
Well, tell us a little bit about your Aunt Gladys, and how it is she became the woman that she became. I don't know how much of your life you know about her, but it sounds like she had an interesting life herself. And it's unusual for a great nephew to have that kind of a connection with a great aunt. So talk to us a little bit about that relationship.
Yes, I mean, really an unlikely scenario. She was a legal secretary. She she kind of got started in her career during the Depression, and so this had a big impact on her view on savings and investing and debt, not having debt, but she was the quintessential just consistent investor. Every paycheck, every pay period, as much as she could went into her investment account. And by the time she died, which was 20 years ago, she'd accumulated an investment portfolio over $1 million. And for someone who never earned a tremendous amount at any given point in her lifetime, and just consistently invested it well in growth-oriented, dividend growth-oriented companies. She was extraordinarily successful in doing that. And another great aspect is what she did with it. I mean, she could have used this money to supplement her lifestyle and her to supplement her income. She lived modestly. She lived in a rural area of Washington, and she at her death she left a foundation essentially for the local school district to fund scholarships for individuals going to college, or to go to college, people that wouldn't have ordinarily had the opportunity to go to college, because she fell in that category. She never had the opportunity to attend college for economic reasons. She's obviously a smart individual who would have been capable, would have flourished in that environment. So her mission was to give to others and see if they have that opportunity.
Do you know, did she have a mentor, or did she just pick up this wisdom on her own? Do you know how she actually got on that track for becoming that successful investor that she ultimately became?
She was an avid reader, so she was probably the first person to turn me on to Benjamin Graham and Warren Buffett. She's just a strong proponent of kind of disciplined value investing, and long-term ownership of assets. She also had a friend of hers who was a stockbroker, and they were good friends and communicated frequently, and that was someone she bounced ideas off of, and kind of talked through things and sharpened her knowledge and experience.
Well, how did you come about forming this meaningful relationship with your aunt?
I don't know how it started. It was something that she was always interested in, passionate about. I would suspect that the conversations played out with my parents. They would talk about it, and I eventually jumped into the conversations, and then eventually usurped them completely because I wanted in on these, and I mean, she was very instrumental in helping me just get started as an investor, she made sure that I had my own brokerage account open by the time I turned 18, so that I could buy shares on my own and in not a minor account. But the day I turned 18, I bought some shares in one of her favorite companies that we had talked about, for years leading up to this, and I still hold those shares today.
Phenomenal. What was it about you that provoked you to actually jump into these conversations? Because you were very young when you first jumped into these, and ultimately you suit your parents' interest in this. So what was it about you that provoked you to get into this?
Yeah, even from a very, very early age, it was about lifestyle and creating flexibility and opportunities for lifestyle choices. My parents are very, very good at instilling the idea that just freedom of time and what you do comes from passive income. So how do you create passive income in your life as early as possible to create the most flexibility with your time and to do what you want to do. And my activities then and activities now, the things that I enjoy doing for recreation, fishing, skiing, being on the water, they're hard to monetize activities. So I didn't see a lucrative career in any of those. So I knew I needed my passive income to come from another source, so I could have the time and the flexibility to do the things that I was passionate about.
Viewers and listeners just tuning in, my guest today is Preston Walls, and he is the founder and overseer of Wells Property Groups and Wells Property Management, with extensive experience in many aspects and phases of real estate, but beyond that, a man of wisdom in terms of how to live a life worth living. Preston, let's move on here to the reason that you don't own your own home, but instead you find renting to be the way to live, to help you to live the life that you want to live.
Yes, this is probably the thing that most people disagree with me on, but I have developed a passion around it, because as time's gone on, I've noticed how frequently my need for housing shifts and evolves, and concurrently with this, the frictional costs of selling real estate are tremendous. They're among the reasons, probably the most significant reason that discourages me from trading in and out of multifamily properties. Right, it's hard to pay the costs and then to find the replacement and then to get it to where you want it. In a rental dynamic, you're freed from much of those. You can pick where you want to live based on the criteria that you need at that time. My kids are 6 and 9. now, and the needs of kids evolve pretty quickly, and the things that they're into, that they're excited by, um, change frequently, and the other aspect of it, at an end of the rental market, it's much less about earning a return on an investment, and people will rent things for non-economic reasons, right? I hear all the time, I couldn't stand to part with the house, so I decided to rent it instead. Okay, that's a non-economic reason for renting something out. Some people call it a reluctant landlord. I call it an opportunity to be a renter. Say I earn a 4.5 cap on the properties that I have, and I'm paying someone else less than a 1 cap. I've put this house at probably 50 basis point cap rate. So it's taking the arbitrage between what I earn as an investor and putting it towards a rent for someone else's place that gives me the attributes that I want at any given stage in life.
So am I understanding here that so you are renting, your decision to rent rather than to purchase your own home is based primarily upon a financial analysis perspective?
Well, there's two things. One is the financial analysis, and that if you can get over the loss of control, being able to make it your own, that standpoint has worked out tremendously well for me. The other aspect is being able to select for the traits that you want in a place to live, and the things that give you the most utility, the most value, because it's a lot easier to move as a renter than as an owner. So your barriers to change are much less.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Philosophy there. I rent as well, but I actually rent from my own LLC, so I don't think that counts quite the same as what you're talking about there. Getting into a little bit of more philosophy, I guess, about your life, and how it is that, how do you find joy and happiness in your life?
Anything that can slow me down, calm me down. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to get out with two buddies of mine, and we went fishing for the weekend, and that is my just my most relaxed state, being in nature, doing something that I'm passionate about, that I love. I've been tracking biometric data, and this was the first time that I've that have gone camping and gone in a camping for a fishing purpose and tracked data. I was shocked. My resting heart rate overnight was 8 beats per minute lower than my average resting heart rate, and my HRV, which is a measure of stress, it's inversely correlated with stress. So the higher your HRV, the lower your stress signal. My HRV measure was 3 times higher than my kind of baseline average amount for being at home, and it was really powerful to have data to support just how I felt being out in nature and yeah, just by a stream and being able to go fishing with some buddies.
Well, those are some significant metrics, significant changes. 8-point difference on your heart rate and 3-point difference on your stress rate. That's nothing to sneeze at. So how often do you get to do that?
I probably more frequently in the summer than the rest of the year. But during the summer, I'll try to get out on a multi-day adventure once per month.
Good.
Head out on my boat for a day fishing or a few hours interspersed through there.
Well, good. Well, in living a life worth living, talk to us about your relationships and how you nurture and sustain those.
This goes back a bit to our earlier conversation. As an introvert, I do not make friends or new relationships quickly or easily, and so my relationships, they tend to be very very long lasting, and I tend to have a low degree of turnover in those relationships, which means they're not a lot of new durable relationships that come in there, but I hang on and I greatly value and appreciate just the history and longevity of relationships in my life.
We're coming to the end of our time here once again together, but share with us what you consider to be your greatest achievement in life to this point.
Achievement is broad for sure. I'm really proud of my kids and how they're evolving and growing, developing, and it's fun to be able to influence that development. I'm proud of just the ability to support others and mentor others. There are several people who I've either helped them purchase multifamily property or just altered their financial trajectory in a way that's been really beneficial to them and has given them a lot of satisfaction. So those things stand out as it's been very valuable.
Truly an inspirational life that you have been able to lead. So many of the things you shared with us are certainly many of the things that people of wisdom have always said throughout the centuries. Eric Fromm once said that greed is a bottomless pit which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. You're a successful individual financially and other ways and means in your life. Talk to us about that aspect of greed and how it is that you find motivation in life without greed being the motivating factor there.
I mean, it comes down to this belief that success is not a zero-sum game, right? Your success does not prohibit other people from being successful, and in fact, it's in many ways the opposite. The more people you help towards success, being successful on their own, the more fulfillment and success that brings you. One of the tenets of our company, one of the policies that we have is it's called the multifamily assistance program. So our multifamily acquisition assistance program. The company will come in with basically an equity loan or non-recorded loan to help individuals get into their own property, their own asset. I've been such a beneficiary of passive income and what it can do for your opportunities and helping other people get there as well, getting their own passive income. That part's been really valuable and really tremendous.
Lots of phenomenal things about your life, and I appreciate you being so open to discussing these very personal aspects of your life. You're an example to all of us to learning not only to develop wealth, but to utilize that wealth in a way that helps us to live a life worth living. An excellent example on how to thrive and to flourish abundantly in all areas of life. And I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate you sharing your life with us. And I hope we can have many conversations in the future as we go forward here.
Well, yes, thank you for having me back, and I love your program and all that you're doing here.
Thank you for being on the show, Preston.
Thank you for tuning in to Creekside Chats with successful multifamily real estate investors, brought to you by Steed Talker Capital. Steed Talker Capital works with both new and established investors nationwide, creating opportunities to flourish in all areas of life. As part of our efforts to make the world a better place, Steed Talker Capital contributes to activities and organizations committed to better understand the equine. These endeavors attempt to enhance the human treatment of horses worldwide. Steed Talker Capital, working for a world where all creatures great and small flourish abundantly. For resources to enhance your well-being through multifamily real estate investment, connect with us online at capital.steedtalker.com.